Hello, my name is Sassoon, and today I will be talking about the concept and key components of a GMP. Well, what is a GMP, you might be asking? A GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. These are a set of guidelines and procedures that ensure that the food product is produced consistently and meets the quality standards expected by the consumer. These practices focusing on maintaining hygiene, safety, and quality during the production of the food, and many other components which we'll be talking about in the next slide. GMP also constitutes the implementation of the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point (HACCP). HACCP identifies the potential hazards and implements controls at critical stages in the food production, wherever a hazard may be present. These guidelines cover everything from overall cleanliness of the facility to proper food handling for the final product. In my opinion, the most significant benefit of GMP is that it provides protocols to keep food safe for the consumer. Moving on to the key components of a GMP. Number one, water quality. Water used in food processing must be potable and sourced from a clean, safe supply. The type of water treatment must be carefully considered, and water containers of reservoirs should be regularly sanitized for quality and sanitized. Personal hygiene. Employees must maintain a good hygiene with proper facilities for hand washing and clean uniforms to ensure good hygiene and prevent contamination. Number three, air quality and ventilation. The facility must have a ventilation system to control odors, regulate temperature, and maintain humidity to improve air quality, preventing health risks. Number four, lighting. Lighting must not alter the product color, and hanging lights must be shielded to prevent contamination to maintain product quality and hygiene. Number five, storage. Storage setups must allow adequate sanitation, prevent pest entry, and provide an environment that minimizes food spoilage. Number six, time and temperature control. Time and temperature controls includes cooling and heating, which must be specific for each product based on its nature to provide optimal condition to prevent spoilage or contamination during all processes with temperature fluctuations. Number seven, preventing cross-contamination. To prevent cross-contamination, raw and processed foods must be separated. Raw and processing areas must be effectively cleaned and sanitized, and access to processing area must be restricted and controlled from other areas of the facility. Number eight, acceptance of raw materials. Raw materials must be inspected and free from contamination before use and discarded if appearance of material does not meet the standard to keep high quality and prevent the risk of foodborne illnesses. Number nine, packaging. Packaging must provide adequate protection for the food product and allows adequate space for labeling to provide important information. Number 10, product information. Product information must include details about the process involved in its production to ensure transparency, inform consumers about what processes were involved in the production, and information regarding the recall in case of an outbreak or potential threat. Traceability. Commercial products must provide information regarding traceability to allow for recalls if necessary to ensure public health and safety. Number 12, pest control. This is an important GMP. Effective pest control requires applying and controlling pest management measures, preventing access points, eliminating potential nesting hazards, conducting eradication when necessary, monitoring for regular signs of pests, and maintaining a clean facility to avoid attracting pests. This is a key GMP in any facility, as pests or animals can harbor pathogens in their fur, saliva, or fecal matter, which can be transferred onto the raw material or the food product, leading to contamination. Number 13, processing hygiene. Proper hygiene practices must be followed by all working personnel to prevent contamination and ensure food safety. Employees or food handlers must maintain good personal hygiene, and those with illnesses should be kept away from processing areas to avoid contamination. Individuals with cut or open wounds should not handle any food or be present in the production area. Hands should be washed for at least 15 seconds and dried using paper towel to ensure cleanliness and hygiene standards. Number 14, transportation. Transportation vehicles must be designed to prevent contamination by ensuring that they are all built with materials that are easy to clean and maintain. This helps to protect the integrity and safety of the goods being transported. Number 15, training. Facilities must conduct courses on personal hygiene and food hygiene for all employees. These courses should be regularly evaluated to ensure their effectiveness. Employees must be trained in good manufacturing practices to maintain a high standard of quality and safety. Number 16, food marketing. Foods must be marketed and presented in a manner to ensure that they meet the required standards for temperature control, proper stacking, and safety display time to maintain the quality, safety, and compliance with health regulations. Number 17, food services. In food services, time and temperature must be carefully controlled during the serving of the food to ensure safety. Foodborne outbreaks are often linked to failure in maintaining proper temperature of the control. As proper handling can allow, as improper handling can allow for harmful bacteria to grow, leading to contamination and illness. Proper monitoring of time and temperature is crucial to prevent this risk. Number 18, verification. Verification of good manufacturing practices should be conducted periodically to ensure proper adherence. It is essential to verify each GMP practice whenever there is a chance in the process, when there is a change in the process, product, or packaging material applied to the food product. Verifications must be carried out for any change that may affect these final food product. These verifications should be applied at every stage of the food processing to maintain quality and safety throughout the entire production cycle. Thank you.
I'll be discussing one of the GMP condition in cheddar cheese production, which is the acceptance of raw materials. In cheddar cheese production, the first step under good manufacturing practices is to ensure the raw milk meets all safety and quality standards. The milk must be tested for pathogens and antibiotics to prevent contamination, ensuring it is safe for processing. Additionally, the milk must meet specific fat and protein content requirements to ensure proper cheese yield and consistency. Refrigeration, maintaining a temperature around 4 degrees Celsius is critical to prevent spoilage and bacterial growth. Also, it requires supplier qualification to be conducted, ensuring that the farms providing the milk adhere to proper hygiene standards. In addition to the milk, other ingredients like cultures, rennet, and salt must be inspected to ensure they meet quality, potency, and food grade standards. All materials used in the production process must be properly tested and documented for traceability, in line with GMP requirements to maintain product safety and consistency. Unacceptable practices in the acceptance of raw materials can significantly affect the final product. Using contaminated milk can introduce harmful bacteria that cause illness and spoilage. Improper temperature control of milk, storing above 4 degrees Celsius, encouraging bacterial growth, compromising the quality and safety of the product. Failing to inspect ingredients like cultures or rennet leads to poor fermentation, affecting the cheese texture and flavor. Cross-contamination during storage can introduce microorganisms that ruin the quality. Lastly, using expired or improperly stored ingredients affects the overall quality and safety of the cheese, potentially making it unsafe for consumption.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohsana Fatima and today I am going to present the GMP condition personal hygiene. Personal hygiene is a critical in cheddar cheese production to prevent contamination, which includes employee cleanliness. Why it is required? Because worker must wash hands thoroughly with soap and water before handling raw materials or equipment. And why it is important? Because cheddar cheese is susceptible to contamination from pathogens like Listeria monocytogen and Staphylococcus aureus, which are transferred through the human contact. And the second one is the protective clothing. So workers should wear clean uniforms, hand gloves, hairnets, and aprons. Why it is important? Because to reduce the risk of physical contamination, example here, or skin particles and microbial transfer. And the third one is health screening. Why it is important? Because employees should report illness, cuts or wounds before starting work, because ill workers can transfer bacteria or viruses to the cheese, and particularly during the curd cutting or molding stages. Then use of hand sanitizers. Employee must use alcohol based sanitizers after washing hands. Why it is important? Because which offers an additional layer of protection to minimize microbial contamination. And no jewelry policy. Remove rings, watches, bracelets before entering the production area. Why it is important? Because jewelry can harbor bacteria or fall into the product, leading to physical and microbial contamination. Then next one is dedicated locker rooms. Employees should change from street clothes into clean uniform in dedicated areas. Why? Because prevent outside contamination from entering the processing environment. Regular training on hygiene requirements, like workers should receive periodic training on proper hygiene protocols. It is important because which ensure that employees understand the importance of hygiene in maintaining product safety. No smoking, no eating or drinking. Prohibit these activities in processing area, because which prevent accidental spillage or contamination of cheese with foreign objects or microbes. Sanitize footwear. Use foot baths or disposable boot covers before entering the processing area, because which reduces the introduction of external dirt and microorganisms. Then next one, hygiene monitoring. Supervisor should inspect personal hygiene practices daily, because which ensure consistent adherence to GMP and identifies areas for improvement. Common unacceptable practices in cheddar cheese manufacturing: lack of hand washing. So employee skip hand washing after using the restroom or touching non-food surfaces, because due to which pathogens like salmonella or E. coli can contaminate the cheese during processing. Wearing inappropriate clothing. Workers wear dirty, if workers wear dirty or casual clothes, example jeans, t-shirts, in the production area, so which increases the risk of transferring dust, lint or microbes. Poorly maintained gloves, like reusing gloves without washing or sanitizing, which because of which contaminants from previous tasks can transfer to the cheese. A failure to report illness. A worker with a cold or skin infection continues working without notifying the supervisor, so which contaminate the product, potentially causing foodborne illness. And eating in processing area, for example, employees eat snacks near the cheese curing room, so which will cause crumbs or spills, may introduce bacteria into the environment. And the next one is non-compliance with jewelry policies. A worker wears a watch or ring while handling cheese curds, so jewelry may fall into the cheese, or which may cause scratch into the equipment, creating breeding grounds for the bacteria.
Hi, this is Musharat Nazia. Today I'm going to talk about how to prevent cross-contamination in your food production unit. So there are several ways how food can be contaminated, like raw materials, equipment, environmental issues, pest controls, and personal hygiene maintenance. So there are the some ways we can have the food contaminated. So I'm gonna talk about every one of them. First, I want to talk about raw material handling. In our production, raw materials, uh, if raw materials is mixed with the cooked product or processed product, this could be called serious contamination, and then that's why we need to be careful about it. And all the tools or equipments we use in the raw materials, it shouldn't be used in other states or processed foods. Second thing is facility and equipment sanitation. The production unit should be thoroughly cleaned after production, so there will be no food wastage or spoilage, anything left over on the food surface or on the surface. It should be cleaned properly and sanitized properly before starting the next production. Hygiene maintaining is one of the most important units we need to follow. Employees should be trained how to maintain hygiene, how to use their equipments, their protective units, their costumes, uniforms, masks, gloves, and how to wash the hands and everything. And there is in the production unit, if there are some restricted areas, only limited people need to have access on those areas who are wearing uh, personal PPE perfectly, and they are trained. And now the last thing I want to talk about is pest control. Uh, Food production units industry should not contain any kind of pest contamination or presence of pest. So if there is any cracks on the wall or any possibility that could create insects or rodents, or like they could be nest for pests, so we need to stop that immediately. We need to call the operation unit for the pest control. They will seal the cracks, or otherwise they will use their operation, and then we can start the cross contamination, because this is a serious hazardous things in any kind of industrial food production unit. Pest shouldn't be there. And eventually, if we contaminated our food, or cross contamination happen in our food industry or food production units, so our product eventually lost its value and qualities, and is not safe to consume. So we need to be really careful about that, how to prevent our cross contamination, because this is very important. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hang Nguyen, and I'm gonna talk about the fourth good manufacturing practice in a cheddar cheese facility, which is traceability. So traceability involves tracking a product from the origin to the point of consumption. A strong traceability system will allow cheddar cheese manufacturer for quick responses during emergencies. For example, in the case of an illness outbreak or product recall. So why is traceability an important GMP? First thing is for consumer safety. So when a food safety incident happens, for example, in the case of a product recall, traceability will help manufacturers quickly identify the source of the problem. By that, minimize the impact on public health. Next point is during the product recall. If a product needs to be recalled, traceability will allow for efficient and targeted recall action. The third point is it enhances brand reputation. A strong traceability system can enhance a food manufacturer reputation by showing their commitment to food safety and food quality. And the last one is to satisfy regulatory compliance. Many food safety regulation require detailed traceability records. So now that we know what is traceability and why it is important, I will talk about some key elements of traceability in a cheddar cheese manufacturing plant. So first thing is raw material tracking. We need to track the milk source. particularly to track the origin of the incoming milk or milk product. For example, if the cheese is made from milk powder. And the second thing is other ingredient sourcing. For example, cultures, rennet, and salt. We have to document all the sources and the quality of those ingredients as well at the point of receiving. The next point is during production. Documenting is also very important during production. So first thing, we need to have lot numbers, which means we have to assign unique but at the same time interpretable lot numbers to each production run. The next point is to document process parameters. For example, some critical parameters are temperature, time, and pH into assigned records and formed. And next is equipment cleaning and sanitation. We have to document cleaning and sanitation procedures and record to have a proof that cleaning and sanitizing actually is being done. You can find examples of traceability lot codes in the pictures that I have inserted in this slide. So this image is from the FDA. They have shown very clear examples of traceable lot code, which means from the lot code we can interpret the company name, the product location, the product, and also the Julian date for the manufacturing date. So the third key element of traceability in a cheddar cheese production lies in the product packaging and labeling. So as per CFI regulations, the following points or following elements have to be on a product label. Those are product common name. Product common name must be printed on the label. Company name and addresses must be printed on the label as well. Lot number, it has to be clearly printed on the packaging, on the product packaging and product label. Expiration date and or manufacturing date. These dates are very critical for the customer or the consumer to determine the shelf life of the product. So they have to be clearly indicated on the label and the packaging as well. And last but not least is a barcode for efficient tracking of the product. So the fourth key element in traceability that I'm gonna talk about in the presentation is distribution and storage. So warehouse management system is need to be built also. We can use systems to track product movement within warehouses and distribution centers. So during receiving and shipping of the product, temperature monitoring is also very critical. Monitor storage temperatures helps to ensure product quality. And as per CFI regulations also, we have to track the customer's name. More particularly, you have to track the date you provide the product to the customer, and secondly, you have to track and document the name and the address of the customer to whom you provide the product. So moving onward to how to implement a traceability system in the cheddar cheese production. So first point I'm going to talk about is to choose a efficient traceability software. Select a software that can handle complex traceability requirements such as batch tracking, lot coding, and expiration date management. One example that I have seen companies use is the Sage 300 software. As a window of the software can be found on the right side of the slide attached here. So continue on with the implementation of the traceability system. So we have to have a strong data collection system. That means records, forms, documents to record all the essential information at each stage of production. So with all that data collected, we have to have effective data analysis system using trend reports, graph, or other data analytical method to identify trends, potential risk, and area for improvement in the production. We have to conduct both internal and external audits regularly. So internal audit is the audits that happen within the company system, as well as audits by certified third-party organizations to ensure compliance with traceability standards and identify any gaps in the system. And last but not least is employee training. Training employees is also very important because they are the one who is directly involved in documenting and recording all the data. So train them properly so that they can accurately record all the information that you need for traceability. Moving onward, I'm gonna talk about some common unacceptable practice of traceability that can be found in a cheese manufacturing company. So first and foremost is missing or incorrect labels. Products that are made without proper labeling or label that contain incorrect information can cause difficulty in traceability. The next unacceptable practice or deviation in traceability is unclear or uninterpretable lot coding. So lot coding that are of course unique but at the same time very hard to break down or interpret can cause difficulty in product identification and tracking. Incomplete and inaccurate records is also another deviation. So records, if they are not maintained properly and filled in accurately, they can cause difficulties in product tracking, especially if suddenly an incident happened a long time after the product have been produced, so it will take a long time to trace back to that records and actually response to the emergency. And last but not least is lack of communication with your supplier. So lack of communication with the raw material suppliers or any product supplier can introduce risk into the supply chains. That means, for example, if the raw material have the lot number on it and you didn't communicate properly with the supplier to get the interpretation of the lot code, then you will have a hard time figuring out like the date of manufacturing of that raw material, and hence you will have a hard time in determining what is the correct shelf life to be used on that raw material.
Hi, my name is Lisa, and I will be speaking on the fifth GMP for cheddar cheese production, which is storage. Storage during the production of cheddar cheese is a critical step that is essential to maintain the quality, safety, and flavor profile of the cheese. Now, one of the key GMP procedures for storage of cheddar cheese is the temperature control. Cheddar cheese must be stored at optimal temperatures between 2 to 8 degrees Celsius in order to prevent the growth of microbial organisms or spoilage. Also, during aging, it is essential to maintain the temperature of cheddar cheese between 0 to 5.5 degrees Celsius. And lastly, it is also essential to keep the logs of these temperatures because for the next person or worker or quality assurance officer to have access to in order to do the necessary steps to maintain the optimal storage of this cheddar cheese. The second key GMP for cheddar cheese would be humidity regulation. It is essential to keep the relative humidity of cheddar cheese between 80 to 85 percent because this could determine the growth of mold or not. The third The third GMP for storage of cheddar cheese is to keep good hygiene and sanitation. This could prevent contamination by Listeria monocytogen, and also it is advised to implement proper pest controls in order to prevent the infestation of pests or microorganisms during storage. There are several uncommon, unacceptable practices done during the storage of cheddar cheese, and one of them is inconsistent temperature and humidity control. It is essential to control the temperature and relative humidity of cheddar cheese during storage because fluctuating of the temperature and humidity could lead to reduction in quality of the cheddar cheese or affect the texture of the final product. Another unacceptable practice is inadequate cleaning of the storage area. Poor sanitation in the storage area can lead to accumulation of dirt and mold and pests that could affect the final quality of this product. So and bring about contamination of microorganisms such as the Listeria monocytosis. So it is essential to keep the storage area clean and free from dirt. The third unacceptable practices will be improper segregation. Now, storing several types of cheeses together could bring about cross contamination and which could definitely affect the quality and final texture of the cheddar cheese. So it is essential to go with good manufacturing practices that would positively affect the final product. Thank you.
Hello everyone. On the next slides, we're going to talk about the critical role that time and temperature play in the process of making cheddar cheese. But first, let's look at why time and temperature are so important in cheese production. Time and temperature are essential for microbial control and food safety. This is especially important for preventing pathogens that can cause foodborne illnesses. So, by controlling time and temperature properly, we can inhibit the growth of these harmful microorganisms. On the other hand, controlling time and temperature also helps ensure the consistency of the organoleptic parameters of the final product. In the case of cheddar cheese, time and temperature are essential for achieving the right texture and flavor, ensuring each batch is consistent and high quality. And let's move on to look at the key stages of cheddar cheese processing that are directly affected by time and temperature control. One of the most important stages is pasteurization. For most aged Canadian cheddar, the milk must be pasteurized at a temperature range of 55 to 65 degrees Celsius for about 16 seconds. This step is crucial for killing any harmful pathogens and spoilage bacteria that might be present in the milk. Proper pasteurization ensures the safety of the final product. Next, we have the culturing. Cheddar cheese is made using mesophilic cultures, so these are cultures that thrive at moderate temperatures, which is between 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. This step is important because it helps from the right pH level for curd formation and controls microbial growth, ensuring the cheese develops the right texture and flavor. Finally, during the ripening stage, time and temperature control are crucial for flavor and texture development. The cheese is typically aged at low temperatures of 4 to 6 degrees Celsius for several weeks, and then the temperature is increased to 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. So, starting with low temperatures helps control the early growth of bacteria and reduces the risk of undesirable flavors, while the increase in temperature promotes the development of the desirable flavors and textures that make cheddar cheese so special. Moving on, there are some common mistakes or unacceptable practices that can occur during the process. One is inconsistent pasteurization. Sometimes shortcuts are taken and pasteurization time is reduced to speed up production. This can lead to coliform growth, which results in off flavors in the cheese, such as the yeasty, putrid, gassy, or unclean flavors. These defects can also cause the production of carbon dioxide and hydrogen gases, which leads to what we call early blowing in cheese. This can ruin the texture and flavor. Another issue is storing cheese at fluctuating or excessively high or low temperatures. This can cause uneven maturation or spoilage. If the temperature isn't controlled, some areas of the cheese can become too ripe while others are underdeveloped, leading to an inconsistent product. So, how can we prevent these issues and ensure the quality and safety of the cheese? The answer lies in implementing good manufacturing practices or GMP. To maintain proper time and temperature control, we must monitor and record the time and temperature at every stage of cheese production. This helps us track whether the cheese is being processed correctly and safely. Another key step is the use of automated systems or manual checks for real time verification. These systems help ensure that temperatures and times are kept within the correct ranges and can alert us to any potential issues before they become major problems. By following these practices, we can ensure the safety, consistency, and quality of cheddar cheese production. Time and temperature may seem simple, but they are absolutely vital in producing a safe and high quality product.
Hi everyone. So today I'll be discussing the importance of packaging in cheddar cheese production process, focusing on the key elements, best practices, and the common unacceptable practices that affect the product quality and safety. So, why packaging is important? First, let's talk about why packaging is so crucial in every industry, every food industry. So, packaging plays a key role in protecting the cheddar cheese from contamination from the external environmental factors such as moisture, air, and so on. So, it helps to maintain the quality and the freshness of the product, whether it's being stored or transported. Additionally, packaging serves as a canvas for essential information, like we all know that the labels provide the ingredients of the products, expiration date, the storage instructions, which are crucial for the consumer safety and decision making. Now, let's talk about the key GMP considerations in packaging. So, when we look into the general or good manufacturing practices, the main consideration for the packaging under good manufacturing practices, the first one would be the food grade packaging. So, we use a food safe material like a vacuum sealed plastic or a wax coating to prevent the contamination and preserve the cheese quality. So, it's a better way. And the next one is the proper packaging process. It's very important. Like packaging process must minimize the exposure of the cheese to potential contamination or potential contaminants, ensuring a clean and hygienic environment. Next one is traceability. Like we know that like packaging must provide a clear product information, like including the traceability data, so that we can track the product journey from the production to the retail. So it's traceability data. So these are the three key considerations for packaging under good manufacturing practices or key GMP considerations in packaging. Next is the key elements of packaging process. So let's break down the key steps in cheddar cheese packaging process. So the first one is cleaning and sanitation. So all the equipments like the from starting onwards from the conveyors and the sealing machines, it must be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected to avoid contamination, any cross contaminations. And proper sanitation is very important to maintain a safe production process. The second one is is the material inspection. So only approved food grade packaging material, like I have already said, like vacuum pouches or vacuum packaging or a wrap should be used as a packaging material. So these material must be certified safe for human consumption as well. So the next one is sealing. So we use a vacuum sealing or a heat sealing to ensure the package is airtight and moisture proof. So it's very important. So the cheese has the tendency to get easily molded if it's if it is contaminated with moisture or if it comes in with contact with the moisture. So it's very important that packaging is always airtight and moisture proof. So which in turn helps in the in preserving the freshness and the quality of the cheese. So next one is the labeling. So it's crucial that packaging is clearly labeled with the product name, the ingredients, the allergen that they include, the production date, the shelf life, and the storage requirement of the product. So this ensures the consumers are informed about the product and the product is completely secure or safe to consume. Okay. So the next one is storage. So it's very important the storage areas must be clean, organized, and it's free from extreme temperature fluctuation to maintain the product quality. So it's very important. Like temperature is very important while storing cheese or any other product. So the next one is transportation. So cheese must be transported using a proper tertiary packaging, like using a pallet or a bulk carton. So additionally, this cold chain must be maintained to ensure the cheese stays fresh and safe during the transit. So proper tertiary packaging is always important while transporting cheese. So now let's talk about common unacceptable practices. Fortunately, there are some common unacceptable practices that can affect the packaging process or that are still in packaging process. So let's look at all of these. So the first one is the non-food grade packaging. So using a recycled or untreated plastic can introduce contaminants that can pose a serious health risk to humans. So that's the first one. So the second one is the unclean packaging area. So we have already mentioned if the packaging area is not cleaned, the gross contamination can occur. So if the packaging environment is not properly maintained, the contamination can occur, leading to an unsafe product. So unclean packaging area. So the next one is improper sealing. So if the seals are compromised, so we know that if the product is contaminated with air or comes in contact with air or moisture, it will affect the quality and safety of the cheese. So it's very important that the seals are not compromised maintain uh, in order to maintain the quality and safety of the cheese. The next one would be the mislabeling. So, missing or incorrect label can cause confusion to the consumers, especially in the case of allergens and expiration date. We all know that we get confused if we just look at a missing or incorrect label. We might get confused, even if it's for any other product. So, these are the four common unacceptable practices in the packaging process. So, now let's talk about the consequences. What could be the consequences if we do not follow a correct packaging process? So, first one is, of course, the health risk. So, improper packaging can lead to contamination, which increases the risk of foodborne illness and food spoilage, which is very important. Nowadays, the foodborne illness are pretty common everywhere. So, health risk is one of the major consequences of poor packaging practices. So, the next one would be the product quality issue. So, when the packaging is not done properly, the cheese can spoil easily and it loses its flavor and it degrades its texture, leading to customer dissatisfaction. We all know that if the product is not good, the customer will not be satisfied with the product. So that's the second one. And then another consequence is the legal consequence that we have to face. So there are legal implications for failing to comply with the food safety standards. So this can lead to recalls or damage to the company reputation. So recently there was an outbreak or there was a recall for a brand called Silk for the plant-based food product. So it was contaminated with listeria. So it could cause some legal consequences as well. So these are the consequences for poor packaging practices. So to conclude, the packaging is very much essential for maintaining the safety, quality, and freshness of cheddar cheese. So, by following the GMP guidelines and avoiding like the common unacceptable practices, we can ensure that the cheese remains safe for the consumers while complying with the food safety regulations. And yeah, that's it. That's my topic. So thank you for your attention and happy to answer all your questions if you have any. And thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Kashish and I'm discussing GMP of using water in production of cheddar cheese. So the water must come from a reliable and safe source such as municipal water supply or any approved natural sources like wells, and it should be free of any contaminants or pathogens like bacteria, viruses, heavy metals, chlorine, or any substance that can affect the flavor and texture or the safety of the final cheese product. Water testing like on a regular basis is also important, and monitoring the water supply is essential in cheddar cheese production to ensure that the water meets the standards. Water should also be tested at various points throughout the process, and water treatment and filtration should be done regularly to remove particles and microorganisms, chlorine removal to protect fermentation cultures, UV light disinfection for microbial control, and if any chemicals are added in the water, water softening should also be done to reduce the hardness. This processes ensure quality of water, and they make sure that there is no contamination in the final product and we get the desired cheese texture. It is also important that the processes are functioning effectively, and any failure or malfunction in the treatment system can lead to compromised water quality, which in turn could affect the cheese production and our final product. The water storage and handling. So, proper storage and handling of water in cheddar cheese is crucial for maintaining quality. It should be stored in clean, disinfected tanks made from non leaching materials protected from contaminants, lights, and temperature fluctuations. It should be kept at temperatures between 5 and 15 degrees Celsius to prevent bacterial growth. Water handling must follow GMP guidelines and uh, using sanitized pipes and pumps to avoid cross contamination with milk or any other ingredients. So, water is essential in cheddar cheese production for pressurizing milk, curd formation, brining, and maturation. So, that's why it's necessary that the water that we use is free of any contaminants to ensure safe pasteurization and proper curd texture, and also to maintain balanced moisture content for optimal aging and flavor. By maintaining strict control over water quality, cheese manufacturing can enhance both the safety and the consistency of our product.
Hi, this is Samuel, and I'll be speaking on the good manufacturing practices for products information. Yeah, so the first thing that is the most paramount part there is the correct labeling. So our products has to be properly labeled. So, and there are three different parts under this. That's the content declaration, the nutritional information, and the adherence to standards. So yeah, the content of our product has to be properly declared, and it has to be shown clearly on our product label. So the nutritional information has to be shown. So if there are the quantity of calories, the fat, the protein has to be properly labeled on the product. Um, and also the adherence to standards. So the FDA's requirement has to be properly shown. So, and the next thing there is the allergen information. So any allergens that is literally on the food product has to be properly labeled on our products. Yeah, so it has to be shown clearly on our products. And also next thing up is batch coding and traceability. So yeah, the batch coding, that's where the that's one of the most paramount parts too. So so it can be possible to trace any of the food products. So as soon as you just scan the batch code or something, so you can easily trace from where this fruit product is, or from where this product was, this food product was literally manufactured from. So yeah, the instructions for storage and handling. So yeah, for our food products, it has to be shown on our labels that okay, yeah, this food has to be stored on this storage condition. It has to be properly shown, and the handling should be properly labeled on our products. Yeah. So and also the certification and country of origin. So yeah, it has to be properly shown. If the food was literally made in Canada, made in the US, it has to be properly shown to validate that okay, yeah, this is where I'm getting this this is where the production of this food product was made. And also the statement of promotional data. So yeah, claims like low fat, age 12 months, or rich in calcium needs to be supported by scientific data. And next thing, and the final part is okay, yeah, the adherence to regulations. So it has to be properly adhere to our labeling, and our product information has to properly adhere to the regulations of the country or the city where you're literally making these productions from. The packaging information, the cheapest weight to volume expressed in both metric and parameters. So yeah, the weight of the products you're selling out or you're producing has to be properly labeled on the food product. So that's literally thank you so much.
Now coming on to transportation. Transportation should be done in such a manner to prevent food contamination and that permit the effective separation of different foods or non-foods items where necessary, provide effective protection from contamination including dust and fumes, drain adequately, for example bulk tanks, visually inspect carriers upon receipt and prior to loading to ensure that they are free from contamination and are suitable for the transportation of food. Have a program in place or assurances to demonstrate the adequacy of cleaning and sanitizing. For example, keep records demonstrating that the carrier is probably cleaned and sanitized. Do not use reusable plastic totes to transport pasteurized products. If the same carrier is used for a variety of different foods, for example, egg albumin or raw pasteurized dairy products, ensure that there is no contamination risk to subsequent loads. For example, ask the transport owner to provide a cleaning certificate and a record of the previous materials transported prior to loading or unloading dual-use tankers. Verify the adequacy of cleaning, such as by tanker inspections, sensory evaluation of ingredients, or analysis of appropriate. These are some extra steps for the transportation. For large-scale shipping in reusable containers, if there is no assurance of cleanliness, the equipment should be repasteurized. Only used for certain products such as whey or cream cheese blends. Maintain documentation to uphold the integrity of the pasteurized products. Now coming on to training. Hygiene courses should be taught regularly, which carry out and consistently assesses for training, for maintaining cleanliness of oneself and cleanliness of food, highlight the importance of adhering to GMPs and practicing safe food handlings. Skill of employees, make sure you have the necessary knowledge to prevent contamination and uphold product safety.
Hello guys, my name is Mohammed. My student ID is 3012783343. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing very well. I will walk you through the layout and the operation of the cheddar cheese processing plant. This layout ensures a hygienic, efficient, and a streamlined production process. So let's explore the key sections of the plant and their functions. So the first area will be the milk reception area, which is like a milk receiving area. The first the truck is parked on that area and the milk is received. So the operation here are conducted as like milk undergoes like filtration and cooling to maintain the quality. The milk tanks here ensure the proper storage before processing begins. And the next area is the standardization and the pasteurization area. This is the area beside the receiving area, the main cheese processing area, in which like standardization and pasteurization area is located. The operation conducted here are ensure the milk is standardized to ensure fat consistency, crucial for cheddar cheese. Also, pasteurization eliminates the harmful bacteria by heating the milk to a specific temperature and cooling it quickly. So this is like a pasteurization, separation, and standardization of tanks. These three operation takes place here. In addition to this, a cheese vat area is also included in this section of the plant, which is in the middle, that is central to the plant processing section. The pasteurized milk here is transferred for starter culture and rennet addition. As you can see in the layout, it is just on the top side, on the right side, where there is a chemical storage area, and also there is a, you can say, powder storage and powder dry mixing area. So all the starter culture is just located right beside the plant on the top right corner. Everything is located, so it is easy for the technician to access all those stuff. And next thing will be curd cutting and cooking area. Now this is where the curd formation and into smaller pieces and knives and release of the whey takes place. This is located on the other side of the plant, which is a secondary plant, This is like a processing plant where major cheese formation like whey processing and boiling takes place here. So in this area, the cheese vat is processed and cooking is the curd are then cooked and allowed for a form and preparation of the next stages. And the next stage will be curd washing and draining area. After the curd has been weighed, processed, it is stored there, and after that there is a washing area inside that secondary plant hollow where the curds are washed to remove excess whey and lactose, which helps in improving the cheese texture and flavor. Draining table and specialized washing system is also located in this area only. That is a whey processing and boiler area. There is also refrigeration and storage included in case anything goes wrong. So we have a backup over there. Now I will hand over to the my partner Likita. She will explain more about this in detail.
Curd washing and grinding. The next step is milling and salting. There we can see the curds are milled into smaller pieces and salted to enhance flavor and preserve the cheese. The equipment we used for this milling and salting is mills and salting tables. Then next we go to the molding and pressing, where we use cheese molds and pressers as an equipment, and it is used for the salted curds are placed into the molds and pressed to form blocks of cheese. The next room is aging or curing room. Okay, the equipment we used in aging or curing room is aging racks and control environmental rooms. That the cheese blocks are aged for several months to develop flavor and texture. After that, the thing is the cheddaring, because we were reading about the cheddaring is. Then the next step is cheddaring. The description is was the curds are stacked and then turned to allow for the whey drainage and to develop the texture. The equipment used was cheddaring tables and automated cheddaring machines. And the last but one step was the packaging and the storage, which was the very important step. Here we use cutting machines, packaging machines, and storage refrigeration unit. The aged cheese is cut into desired sizes, packaged, and stored until shipment. The next one is quality control lab. In quality control lab, the equipment we used was microbial testing, pH meters, and texture analysis. That is TPA. The description comes a dedicated space for testing and ensuring the quality and safety of the cheese.
Conclusion: the implementation of good manufacturing practices (GMPs) is vital for ensuring the safe and high-quality production of cheddar cheese. GMPs comprise not just the handling and hygienic practice of employees alone. It begins from the plant layout, which is expected to include the hygienic zoning, although the safe handling practices of everyone involved in production, right from the point of raw material acceptance to processing and packaging, and shipments to warehouse, and also ensuring that food safety practices does not end at the exit gate of manufacturers, but also transportation and storage with wholesalers and retailers, and even with the consumers themselves. Educating about storage temperature and preventing cross-contamination is also important. Thank you.